The Galactic Council Hall was a place of wonder, a chamber so vast that entire species had carved their symbols into its walls. Banners of 1,000 empires hung high, glowing under golden lights, while the voices of alien leaders echoed through the air. Every seat was filled, every delegation watching closely as the humans entered. They were newcomers, their world only a few centuries into space travel, and most of the galaxy considered them little more than noisy children. The moment the human delegation stepped forward, the hall filled with whispers. Some aliens snickered, their sharp teeth flashing. Others turned to their neighbors, speaking in low, mocking tones. It was as if the entire chamber had decided before the humans even spoke that nothing they said could matter. The human delegation walked with steady steps, their suits plain compared to the rich robes and glittering armor of the alien nobles. At the center was Ambassador Marcus Hale, an older man with a calm face and sharp eyes. He stood at the podium, knowing every eye was on him, and for a moment he simply let the silence linger. But silence did not last long in the council hall. A booming laugh erupted from a reptilian warlord in the corner, followed by high-pitched chuckles from insectoid diplomats. Soon, the hall was filled with laughter, rolling like a wave. Humans ask for equal standing? One alien sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. Equal to us? You still struggle to feed your colonies. Equal to us? Your ships are scrap metal welded together by miners. Armada, another jeered. You call those cargo freighters with guns an armada? The chamber roared again, the sound echoing like thunder. Even the council scribes, who were supposed to remain neutral, covered their faces to hide smiles. To them, this was entertainment. Humanity was amusing, like a child pretending to wear the clothes of giants. Yet through all of this, Ambassador Hale stood still. His eyes did not waver, his hands did not tremble. He waited until the laughter quieted, until the jeers lost their strength. Then, in a calm, even voice, he began to speak. Honored council members, we come not to beg, not to crawl. We come to claim our place among you. His words only sparked another round of laughter, louder than before. A towering alien, his skin shimmering like steel, leaned forward and growled. Your place is at the bottom. You should thank us for allowing your ships to travel through our lanes. You should thank us for not crushing your colonies when they appear on our borders. The humans did not flinch. Hale looked around the chamber, letting his gaze move across every face. Yes, we are young, he said softly. Yes, our world is small compared to yours.
But we are not blind. We know the way you see us.
You call us reckless, you call us fragile. But you mistake our silence for weakness. You mistake our patience for fear. A ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber. Some aliens shifted in their seats, no longer laughing, but others still mocked him openly. Patience, one barked. You hide behind patience because you have no strength. You hide behind words because you have no weapons. That was when Hale leaned forward, his voice suddenly sharper. You are wrong. We have weapons. We have fleets. And we have the will to use them. You laugh now, but I promise you this, your laughter will not last. The hall stilled for a moment, caught between mockery and unease. One alien, a feathered diplomat with long wings folded at his back, tilted his head. You speak boldly, human. But bold words mean nothing without proof. Where is this mighty armada you boast about? Hale allowed himself the smallest of smiles. It was not arrogance. It was something colder, something that made even the laughter in the hall fade for a moment. You want to see it, he said, his voice low, steady. You will. In time. And when you do, none of you will laugh again. The silence that followed was heavy. For the first time, the chamber did not echo with scorn, but with something else, curiosity, and perhaps a sliver of fear. Some of the council leaders exchanged uneasy glances. Could it be true? Could this small, young species be hiding something? Others shook their heads, dismissing the thought. Humanity could not possibly stand against the great empires. It was absurd. Yet Hale's calm expression planted a seed of doubt that laughter could not erase. One alien lord rose from his seat, his armor gleaming, his voice filled with contempt. "Empty threats," he declared. "If humans truly had an armada, they would have shown it by now. Instead, they bring words, nothing more." The council roared again in agreement, but this time, the sound was thinner, not as certain as before. Hale did not argue. He did not raise his voice. He simply stepped back from the podium and spoke once more. "Then wait. Wait, and you will see." With that, the human delegation turned and left the chamber, their steps steady, their faces calm. The laughter followed them out, but beneath it all, a quiet unease spread like a shadow. In the corridors outside, as they walked back to their ship, one of Hale's aides whispered nervously, "Ambassador, was that wise? They don't believe us. They think we are bluffing." Hale's eyes remained fixed ahead, his voice low but firm. "Let them think so. Let them laugh. The longer they laugh, the less they prepare. And when the time comes, their laughter will choke in their throats." Far above, through the glass dome of the council station, the stars burned silently. Somewhere out there, hidden in the black, the first pieces of humanity's true armada were waiting. The galaxy believed Earth had nothing. They were wrong. And soon, they would learn how wrong. The laughter of the council still echoed across the galaxy. News outlets replayed the moment endlessly. Clips of alien leaders mocking humans, the roars of amusement, the sneers carved into their faces. In markets and taverns, aliens clinked their glasses and joked about Earth. Memes spread across communication nets showing rusty human ships falling apart, captioned with words like, "The Mighty Armada." Humanity had become the galaxy's favorite joke. But while the galaxy laughed, humanity worked. In the darkness of the asteroid belts, shipyards glowed with secret fire. Massive forges carved into rock burned day and night, hidden from outside eyes. Thousands of workers, men and women from Earth, Mars, and the colonies, labored in silence, welding steel, wiring circuits, shaping hulls so vast that they blocked out the stars. Every worker had sworn an oath of secrecy. No broadcast left the yards. No signals escaped the shadows. What they built was hidden from every scanner, every spy. On Mars, red dust storms howled across the plains, but beneath the surface, a new world was rising. Caverns stretched for miles, filled with assembly lines and roaring engines. Tanks rolled off production lines. Fighters were stacked in rows like sleeping hawks. Mars had become more than a colony. It had become a forge world, a place where metal and fire were turned into the tools of war. Even the moon, once thought of only as a gray wasteland, became a secret stronghold. Its craters hid bunkers carved deep into stone. Launch silos were disguised as mining shafts. Cargo containers, which seemed to carry food and supplies, actually held weapon parts, reactor cores, and shield generators. The moon was no longer silent. It pulsed with life, with preparation. The galaxy thought humanity was doing nothing. They thought Earth had gone back to its fragile peace, licking its wounds after the Council's humiliation. But in truth, every shipyard, every factory, every scientist, every soldier was working with one purpose: to build something the galaxy had never seen. Whispers began to spread. A merchant ship passing near Sol reported strange activity, shadows moving against the stars, larger than freighters, but vanishing before scans could lock on. A smuggler boasted of stealing from a human convoy, but when asked what he found, he went silent, pale, and refused to speak. Patrol ships from neighboring empires reported signals cut off, scanners jammed, and sometimes, ships disappearing altogether. At first, no one believed these stories. They were dismissed as rumors, as tall tales told by drunk pilots. But the stories grew. One trader claimed he saw a fleet of black ships move as one, faster than any alien cruiser, disappearing without leaving a trace. Another said he saw weapons that fired without sound, beams that cut through asteroids in a single sweep. Still, the galaxy laughed. Humans? Impossible. They could not have built such things in so little time. But deep inside the human command centers, in underground rooms where walls hummed with energy shields, plans were unfolding. Admiral Sarah Keene stood before a vast holomap, her eyes sharp, her voice cold. "We will not show our hand until the moment is right," she told her officers. "Let them mock us. Let them lower their guard. When we reveal the Armada, it will not be words that speak for us. It will be the silence of their broken fleets." Every officer nodded. They had seen the Armada in fragments, in training exercises carried out in the dark. They had seen cruisers that bent radar waves, battleships with armor that shimmered like water, carriers so massive they could launch entire wings of fighters at once. They had seen weapons that the galaxy did not even know existed. And yet, secrecy was everything. The Armada was scattered across hidden docks, across moons, across hollowed-out asteroids. No outsider could see it whole. Not yet. Still, danger crept closer. The Zarkith Dominion, the most arrogant of the alien empires, had grown curious. They sent spy drones near human space. Some never returned. Others sent back only static, as if swallowed by a storm. Their admirals grumbled, but they dismissed it. Humans have nothing. Their tricks are nothing. When the time comes, we will crush them. The humans let them believe it. But inside the hidden yards, a different truth was being written. Children in schools were told stories of sacrifice and duty, preparing them for the future. Miners on the edge of the Kuiper Belt dug not only for ore, but for rare metals used in weapons the galaxy had never faced. Even artists, musicians, and storytellers began to change their tone, weaving hope and fire into their works. Humanity was no longer only a species, it was a movement, a force, a storm waiting in silence. Ambassador Hale, the man who had stood before the council, often walked among the workers when he returned from his travels. He spoke to welders, to pilots, to engineers, shaking their hands, telling them, "The galaxy thinks you are nothing. But soon, you will show them everything." His words became a spark that kept tired hands moving, that made long nights bearable. And so the work continued. Silent, endless, relentless. The galaxy's laughter still rang across the stars. But beneath that noise, beneath the surface of planets and the dust of asteroids, a new sound grew. The hum of engines, the roar of forges, the rising heartbeat of an armada. It was not yet time. Humanity would not reveal itself too early. But the day was coming, a day when the galaxy would look into the darkness and see shapes moving, vast and unstoppable. On that day, the laughter would die. On that day, the galaxy would finally understand what humanity had been building in silence. For now, there was only waiting. And the humans were very, very good at waiting. The galaxy still laughed at humanity. They laughed in their palaces, in their war rooms, even in their taverns. To them, humans were dreamers who mistook old freighters for warships. But on the edges of known space, where pirates roamed and law meant nothing, laughter would soon turn into silence. The colony of Ceres 9 was a small place, barely more than a mining outpost. Its people lived in domes under the pale glow of a distant sun, carving ore from the rocks and sending it back to Earth. To most of the galaxy, Ceres 9 was worthless, a forgotten, in the void. That was why the pirate fleet came. The raiders were a mix of species, hardened criminals who had terrorized trade routes for decades. Their ships were patched together from stolen parts, bristling with weapons. They came in force, 30 vessels strong, expecting no resistance. They had hit human colonies before, and each time, the humans had sent desperate distress calls that came too late. To the pirates, humanity was easy prey. The people of Ceres 9 knew this. When the pirate fleet appeared on sensors, fear spread like fire. Mothers gathered children. Miners grabbed old rifles, though they knew they could not stand against warships. The governor sent out a distress call, her voice shaking. "This is Ceres 9. We are under attack. Any ship, any ally, please respond." She knew no one would. But this time was different. As the pirate fleet closed in, preparing to burn the colony and enslave its people, a shadow moved against the stars. At first, the raiders thought it was nothing, a sensor glitch. Then more shadows appeared, sleek, black shapes sliding out of the darkness, silent and cold. The pirates laughed. Humans, their leader growled, his scaled mouth curling into a grin. They send their little freighters again. Crush them. His fleet opened fire, bright lances of energy cutting through the void. The beams struck the black ships and vanished, swallowed like drops of rain on stone. The black ships did not return fire. Not yet. They simply moved, faster than any pirate had ever seen. They wove between blasts, closing the distance with predator grace. The raiders shouted in confusion. Their sensors screamed warnings. Then the black ships finally fired. There was no sound, no roar of cannons, only beams of pale light, thin as needles, cutting silently across space. Where they struck, pirate shield shattered. Metal melted. Whole ships split apart, as if carved by invisible blades. The battle lasted minutes. The pirates tried to flee, but the black ships hunted them down one by one until the void was filled with drifting wrecks. Only silence remained. Not a single pirate vessel escaped. From the surface of Ceres 9, the colonists watched the sky light up with fire, then fade into calm. They had expected death. Instead, they saw salvation. Children pressed their faces to dome windows, whispering, "What are those ships?" The governor stood in awe, her distress call still echoing unanswered in the void. When the last pirate ship exploded, one of the black vessels broke formation and descended close to the colony. It did not land. It only hovered, silent and still, its hull gleaming like midnight. A transmission came through, the voice calm, steady, and unmistakably human. "This is Task Force Aegis. The threat has been eliminated. Your colony is safe. You will not be abandoned." The colonists wept. For the first time in memory, they were not victims. They were not prey. Humanity had answered. News of the battle spread slowly, at first. The council dismissed it as rumor, a story twisted by frightened colonists. "Pirates vanish all the time," one alien leader scoffed. "They probably fought among themselves." Others laughed at the thought of humans destroying 30 ships. "Impossible," they said. A lie to cover human weakness. But then the wreckage was found. Merchant vessels passing near Ceres. 9 recorded images, pirate ships cut cleanly in half, their hulls melted as if by fire from the stars. The recordings spread across networks, across taverns, across war rooms. The laughter grew thinner. Doubt began to whisper. Some still mocked. So the humans won one battle. So what? Even a cub can bite if cornered. But others were not so sure. They studied the wrecks, the strange precision of the destruction, the unnatural silence of the weapons. And a quiet question began to form. What are the humans hiding? Inside human command, the answer was clear. The Ceres 9 battle had been no accident. It had been a test, carefully chosen, carefully executed. Admiral Keene watched the reports with a cold smile. "They will think it was chance," she said. "Let them. They will believe it was luck until we choose to show them otherwise." Ambassador Hale received the same report while traveling back from a trade summit. His aides asked if they should announce it to the council, demand recognition. Hale shook his head.
No.
Not yet. The time is not right. Let the story spread on its own. Doubt is a seed. It grows stronger in silence. And so humanity waited again. But this time, they no longer waited in fear. They had seen the first proof. The Armada was real. It worked. And soon, the galaxy would see more than shadows. For the colonists of Ceres 9, life returned to normal. Miners went back to the tunnels. Families repaired their homes. But every night, when they looked at the stars, they remembered the black ships that had come out of nowhere, swift and silent, striking like hunters. And they knew something the galaxy did not yet understand. Humanity was no longer prey. Humanity was preparing to become the predator. The galaxy could no longer ignore the whispers. The destruction of the pirate fleet at Ceres 9 had left wreckage that could not be explained away. Scans proved the damage was unnatural, beams too sharp, too clean, too precise to be pirate weapons. Rumors spread through trade routes, through soldiers' mess halls, through taverns where captains drank. Some called it a miracle. Others said it was luck. But a few spoke in hushed voices. The humans have built something new. The Galactic Council dismissed the rumors. Most empires laughed, waving their hands as if brushing away smoke. But not the Zarketh Dominion. They were an old empire, proud and arrogant, their fleets vast, their armies endless. To them, reputation was everything. The idea that humans, a young, weak species, could challenge their power was unbearable. In their war chamber, Zarketh admirals gathered around a glowing map of human space. Their leader, High Commander Vaynar, struck the table with a clawed fist. "Enough of these stories," he snarled. "Enough of this talk. If the humans truly have an armada, we will expose it. And if they don't, we will remind them of their place." The plan was simple. The Dominion would send a fleet to the border of human territory, not to attack, but to humiliate. They would broadcast their presence to every corner of the galaxy, daring the humans to show themselves. Either humanity would come forward with their so-called armada and be crushed, or they would remain silent and prove the rumors false. In either case, the Zarketh would win. The chosen fleet was massive, 60 warships, each one larger than a human city. Cruisers lined with plasma cannons, destroyers bristling with torpedoes, and carriers that could launch swarms of fighters. At the center was the Dominion's pride, the dreadnought Bloodfang, a ship so feared that whole systems surrendered when it arrived. When the fleet jumped into human border space, the galaxy watched. The Dominion made sure of it. They broadcasted live across the Council's networks. Every empire tuned in. Screens in crowded halls showed the Zarketh ships spreading across the stars, their weapons glowing, their banners bright. The Dominion commander sneered into the camera. His voice boomed across the galaxy. "Humans, hear us. You spoke of an armada. You claimed power you do not have. Today, we expose your lie. Come forward if you dare. Show us your strength, or bow and accept your place as children among true empires." The galaxy roared with laughter again. The council chambers echoed with amusement. "The humans will not come," one alien lord said. "They will hide behind their colonies." Another smirked. "If they come, they will be crushed in moments." The humiliation seemed certain. But on Earth, in hidden command centers deep below the surface, alarms rang. In orbit, secret carriers began to stir. Across Mars and the asteroid belts, orders flashed through encrypted channels. Humanity's leaders gathered in silence, watching the Zarketh broadcast. Admiral Sarah Keen stood at the center of the command hall, her face lit by the glow of star maps. She listened as aides listed the enemy's strength. Her officers looked uneasy. "Admiral, the Dominion fleet is overwhelming. If we reveal the armada now, it may be too soon." Keen's voice was steady. "The time has come. We do not seek this fight, but we cannot turn away. If we remain silent, the galaxy will never respect us. If we answer, the galaxy will never forget us." She turned to her comms officer. "Send the message." Moments later, the Dominion commander received a reply. The transmission was short, only a single sentence spoken in calm, measured words. "You wish to see us. Now look to the stars." Confusion flickered across alien faces watching the broadcast. Then the galaxy held its breath. At first, nothing happened. The Zarketh commander laughed. "Empty words," he said. "They fear us." His officers joined him, their claws tapping consoles, their eyes filled with arrogance. But then the stars shifted. From the darkness behind the Dominion fleet, shapes began to emerge. One, then another, then dozens. Massive silhouettes, their hulls black as night, slid out of hidden folds in space. Cruisers, carriers, dreadnoughts. Their designs were strange, angular, sharp, and almost alive, their armor shimmering with strange alloys. The Zarketh commander's grin faded. He counted the ships. 10, 20, 50, 100. More still came. The human armada filled the void, vast and silent, stretching farther than sensors could measure. The galaxy gasped as the feed showed the impossible, an armada greater than anyone had imagined, born not of rumor, not of lies, but of reality. In the council chamber, the laughter died. No one spoke. Eyes wide, jaws slack, they stared at the screens. The humans had not lied. They had hidden their strength, biding their time, waiting for this moment. For the first time in history, the galaxy did not laugh at humanity. They stared in silence, fear curling in their throats. The Dominion commander tried to recover, his voice trembling with forced confidence. So, you bring your ships. It does not matter. Numbers cannot save you. We will burn your armada to ash. But deep inside, he knew. The balance of power had shifted. The humans had come. And the test was about to begin. The galaxy had expected a joke. When the Zarkith Dominion challenged humanity, every empire tuned in, eager to see the scrap fleet of Earth fall apart. The council chambers were filled with alien leaders leaning forward in their seats, smirks on their faces. But as the stars behind the Dominion fleet shifted, those smirks began to fade. One by one, the shadows emerged. First, a line of cruisers, sleek and black, their hulls glowing faintly as if the darkness itself bent around them. Then carriers appeared, vast and towering, their bays large enough to hold hundreds of fighters. Finally came the dreadnoughts, massive ships that blotted out starlight, each one bristling with weapons the galaxy had never seen. The Zarkith commander's grin turned into a scowl. He leaned over his console, his claws digging into the metal. "Impossible," he whispered. His officers scanned the fleet, but their readings made no sense. Armor unknown. Energy signatures off the scale. Weapon systems unidentified. It was as if the humans had built ships that defied every known design. On the council's live feed, silence spread. No one laughed. No one jeered. For the first time, the galaxy stared at humanity with wide eyes, their throats tight with disbelief. The Armada stretched farther and farther across the stars until even the mighty Dominion fleet looked small by comparison. Admiral Sarah Keene stood aboard the flagship Eternal Resolve, watching the scene unfold. Her officers reported enemy positions, fleet numbers, shield levels, but she barely listened. She knew the galaxy was watching. She knew every word spoken here would echo for centuries. "Hold formation," she said calmly. "Do not fire unless they do first. Let them see us." And the galaxy saw. The human ships moved as one, perfect in their formation, silent hunters gliding through the void. Their armor shimmered like liquid steel, bending light and sensors alike. Their weapons pulsed with faint glows, silent promises of destruction. The sheer discipline of the fleet made seasoned alien admirals uneasy. This was no rabble. This was no collection of freighters armed with cannons. This was an armada. On alien worlds across the galaxy, citizens gathered around public screens. Markets fell silent. Taverns grew quiet. Miners stopped their drills. Farmers left their fields. Billions watched as the impossible truth unfolded. The humans had built a fleet that rivaled the oldest empires, and they had done it in secret. Inside the council chambers, a thin-voiced delegate whispered, How could they build this without us knowing?" Another, trembling, said, "We thought they were weak. We thought they were slow." A third finally muttered what no one wanted to admit. "We were wrong." Back at the battlefield, the Zarkith commander tried to recover his pride. He opened a wide broadcast, his voice carried to every viewer. "So you have ships," he snarled. "So you bring your toys. Do you think this frightens us? We are the Dominion. We have crushed fleets for 1,000 years. Numbers will not save you, humans." The galaxy waited for humanity's reply. Admiral Keene stepped into the hollow feed, her face calm, her voice steady. "We do not seek your fear. We seek respect. You mocked us. You doubted us. Now you see the truth.
We will not bow.
We will not crawl. We are humanity, and we have come to claim our place among the stars." Her words echoed across the galaxy. On dozens of worlds, silence followed. then whispers, then fear. The Zarkith commander bared his teeth. Bold words, he growled. But words do not win wars. Let us see if your ships fight as well as they pose.
He raised his claw.
Fire. The Dominion fleet unleashed its fury. Plasma beams streaked across the void, torpedoes screamed forward, and squadrons of fighters swarmed like angry wasps. The sky lit up with fire. For a moment, it looked as if the humans would be drowned beneath the storm. But then the human armada moved. Shields shimmered, bending under the attack but not breaking. Human cruisers glided aside with impossible precision, their hulls sliding between plasma bursts like dancers. Carriers launched swarms of fighters, small, sleek craft that darted faster than the Dominion had ever seen, weaving through enemy lines like predators hunting prey. The human ships answered with their own fire. Not loud, not chaotic, silent beams of light that cut across space. Where they struck, Dominion shields shattered instantly. Cruisers split in two. Fighters evaporated. The galaxy watched in awe as the mighty Dominion fleet staggered under the first blow. On Ceres, 9, colonists who once lived in fear of pirates now cheered. On Earth, people filled city squares, eyes lifted to giant screens, their voices rising as one. Across Mars, workers dropped their tools to listen, pride swelling in their chests. For the first time in history, humanity did not stand small. Humanity stood tall. In the council chamber, no one laughed anymore. Old empires that had mocked humanity now sat frozen, their minds racing. Some felt fear. Some felt respect. A few even felt something else, dread of what this young, ambitious species might become. The battle was only beginning, but the truth was already clear. The galaxy had underestimated Earth. They had laughed, sneered, mocked, but now they saw the Armada, vast and real, and the laughter had died in their throats. Humanity had stepped onto the stage of history, and nothing would ever be the same. The Dominion thought numbers would crush the humans. Their ships darkened the stars, their weapons glowed like 1,000 suns, and their commander roared for destruction. But as the battle raged, something strange began to happen. The human fleet did not panic. They did not scatter. Every ship moved as if tied by one mind, their formations shifting and tightening with flawless precision. Cruisers slid into defensive lines, carriers released squadrons in tight spirals, and dreadnoughts advanced like mountains drifting across the void. From the flagship Eternal Resolve, Admiral Sarah Keene stood calm, her eyes fixed on the chaos outside. Her officers waited for her command, hands tense above their consoles. The enemy's plasma blasts hammered at their shields, but she did not rush. "Not yet," she whispered. "Let them come closer." Across the galaxy, entire civilizations watched the feed in breathless silence. What had begun as entertainment, mocking the upstart humans, had become something else entirely. Now, billions of eyes watched to see if this strange species could survive the greatest fleet the Dominion had ever unleashed. The Zarkith commander, drenched in arrogance, sneered at the screen. Shields faltering, hulls weakening. Their silence is fear. They will break any moment. He raised a claw, ready to signal the final strike. But before he could speak, a ripple moved through the human fleet. Admiral Keene gave the order. "All wings engage. Fire at will." The void erupted. Human fighters shot forward like arrows, weaving through Dominion squadrons. They flew faster, tighter, more fearlessly than anything the enemy had seen. A squad of Dominion interceptors closed in, but the human craft spiraled and split, cutting through them with surgical beams. In seconds, the interceptors were gone, nothing but drifting sparks in the black. Then came the cruisers. Hidden ports along their sides opened, releasing a storm of drones. The small machines darted like swarms of hornets, surrounding Dominion battleships, targeting engines and weapons with merciless precision. Explosions rippled across the enemy lines. But the greatest shock came from the dreadnoughts. Each human dreadnought powered up weapons the galaxy had never witnessed. Long spears of light lanced forward, not plasma, not missiles, but something new. The beams cut through shields like they were paper, splitting hulls as if slicing fruit. Entire Dominion cruisers collapsed in silence, broken apart in a single strike. The council chamber erupted in gasps. Delegates leaned forward, their disbelief turning to fear. "Those weapons impossible," one alien muttered. "They must have stolen the technology," another insisted. But no one truly believed that. Humanity had built this. Alone. In secret. And they had done it well. Back in the battle, the Dominion grew desperate. "Overwhelm them," their commander roared. "Ram their carriers. Burn them down." His ships surged forward in reckless fury. They smashed into human formations, unleashing torrents of fire. For a heartbeat, it looked as if the humans might break. A carrier shuddered under the storm, its shields collapsing. Fires erupted along its hull. Admiral Keen's officers turned to her, panic in their eyes. "Orders, Admiral?" Her voice remained steady. "The Soul's Dawn will not fall. Redirect shield relays from the Resolute. Cover her flank." Within seconds, energy surged between ships. The failing carrier's shields reignited, glowing brighter, stronger, as if the entire fleet had poured its strength into one. The Dominion attack faltered. Their ships had never seen such coordination. One vessel saved by the sacrifice of another, a fleet that fought not as individuals, but as one body. Slowly, painfully, the Dominion line began to crumble. Across alien worlds, citizens leaned closer to their screens. Merchants, miners, soldiers, children. All watched the impossible. The humans were not breaking. They were winning. In the council chamber, silence deepened. No delegate dared laugh now. Some sat stiff with fear. Others whispered in awe. One elder leaned back, his voice trembling. "We thought them fragile. But they're fire." The Dominion commander refused to admit defeat. His claws dug into his chair as his fleet burned around him. "No," he hissed. "Not to humans. Never to humans." He ordered his last dreadnoughts to charge the human flagship. On board the Eternal Resolve, alarm screamed. The enemy's largest ships thundered forward, their weapons glowing with lethal power. Officers shouted readings, numbers, warnings. Yet Admiral Keen only straightened her uniform and looked at the screen. "Bring us about," she commanded. "Prepare the lance." The dreadnoughts closed in, filling the viewports with their massive hulls. They fired as one. Blazing energy streaked toward the Eternal Resolve. For a heartbeat, it seemed the flagship would vanish in fire. Then the humans fired back. The Eternal Resolve unleashed its full weapon, a beam so bright it split the void. It struck the lead Dominion dreadnought and pierced it clean through. The ship exploded in silence, fragments scattering across space. The second dreadnought fired wildly, but another human cruiser intercepted, sacrificing itself in the blast. A moment later, 2 more human beams cut the second dreadnought apart. The battlefield grew quiet. The Dominion fleet, once a wall of power, was now a graveyard of burning wrecks. Survivors scattered, fleeing into the dark. Their commander's voice, once full of pride, now cracked with rage. This is not the end. The Dominion will return." But even as he spoke, his transmission dissolved into static. His flagship was gone. And with that, the battle was over. The galaxy had witnessed something they could never forget. Humanity, mocked and underestimated, had stood against one of the oldest, strongest empires and won. Back in the council chambers, the human ambassador rose to his feet. His voice was calm, steady, but sharp as a blade. "You laughed. You doubted. But now you have seen. Humanity will not bow. Humanity will not be ignored. We are here to stay." The chamber was silent. No jeers, no laughter. Only the weight of history pressing down on every soul present. For the first time, the galaxy did not laugh at humanity. For the first time, they listened,